Okay, so top 3 bad habits that I'm seeing on the T side, especially in lower elo matches. I've recently come back to the game after about 3 years away. Been playing some matchmaking games with my friends around the 20k, 21k elo mark is where I got ranked in at. And I used to play Face It level 10 back in CSGO and was ranked in around 2.5k elo at my peak. So I feel like I've got a good unique perspective on the difference between those two skill levels and sort of how the game has adapted over the years. So I figured I'd make a quick video to show some upcoming players. Maybe if you're, you know, under the 1,000-hour mark, this is probably useful information to you. If you're already, you know, a seasoned player of this game, then this is information that you will probably have figured out by yourself. So I don't want people to think that this is some groundbreaking stuff, but I do think that this info would help some new players out and really work their way up through the matchmaking ranks. Okay, so point number 1 that I want to talk about is the importance of sound cues and not giving away too much information through sound at the start of the round, which I'm seeing quite often in this rank that I'm playing at right now. This part of the map on B apps, right? As soon as you cross this line, essentially here, you can be heard by the short player if they've pushed up to this stage. Let's say, you know, at the start of the round, they've really booked it and they've ran straight here. Then they're going to be already hearing you as soon as you step into this part of the apartment. So if you're trying to keep your position unknown, perhaps your team's faking mid, your team's faking A, or you know, someone's just called a B pop, contact B, and you're just going to walk up here. If you've already made noise in this area of the map, then, you know, that you could already have given up all the information, the rotates would already be there, and you could just be walking straight into a death trap. Let's talk about mid now. Everyone knows a standard mid play. We'll get the window smoke out, and we'll work our way up towards mid. Sometimes we'll have a connector smoke as well, right? So let's say we're in a situation like this. You've got your connector, and well, hopefully your connector smoke doesn't look like that, and your window smoke there, and you get a flash out here. Now, a common thing people are doing is they run here and they run straight to chair, right? And they try and fight short. Now, you can be heard if you run straight to chair from the connector guy, anyone sandwich, anyone close ramp, and that immediately gives away that information. If the team you're against has good communication, then early things like this, giving away too much sound cues, can be the difference between you getting that first kill or being the first person to be killed. Another one could be short, right? Let's say you're just charging up here. You're not being careful about the noise that you're making. People who understand the distance of the noise will always outplay you in situations where you're giving away too much early information. And another sound cue that gets given away quite too often, in my opinion, on this map is approaching Mirage when you're running up these stairs. As soon as you get to this staircase, you've got to be silent. Now, again, I'm using the ring on the map, which we didn't used to have, but it's a nice little thing to have to visualize it. Now, if I'm stepping here, I can clearly see that anyone who's under Palace or on top of Palace balcony is going to be able to hear me already. And if they've got the first spawn on the CT side and run straight there, then by the time you're running up here to make your Palace play at the start of the round, they've already heard you coming. So, please, for your team's sake, or for your sake, if you want to make a play, hit that walk key as far back as here. Approach it a little bit carefully. You don't always have to come out straight here either, which is a common thing that people will get caught off. You know, work your way up here. You can play one of these angles and let them aggress into you. And it's way more likely they're going to push into your crosshair if you've made no noise coming up these steps. Right, so the second biggest thing that I'm seeing as an issue in matchmaking and a big reason why we're losing rounds is throwing utility but not really using it to its full potential. Now, one of the most common ones I see, I'll start at A, is situations where we've thrown a full A execute, right? So we have our jungle smoke, we have our stairs smoke, if I can move there. And let's say we have a CT smoke because I can't be asked to go over there because I'm lazy, right? The most common problem I'm seeing in a situation where we have A smokes up is the first man and second man run straight to Tetris, they climb up here, they get this far, and no one has presented them with an opportunity to shoot at them, and then they find themselves completely useless, right? And what essentially they've done is they've wasted the smokes, they haven't taken any space on the bomb site, and they've made it no easier to plant the bomb nor hold the bomb site from what they've done. Now, I want to give an example of what I believe would be a good thing to do in this situation, instead of just jumping up Tetris. Let's say the smokes are here. I'm not going to throw them, but let's say the smokes are there, right? CT, stairs, and jungle. The first man out needs to be coming to clear the close angles for his team, right? You don't need to worry about this. The most common thing, people won't turn their back to jungle because of the fact that, you know, they're used to it not being smoked. But if it's smoked, you've got those two smokes up there, and you've got the team behind you who are watching the correct things. And you can just come out, clear the close angles, make sure that you take as much space for your team, and create trade potential, right? Because without space, there's no potential for the man behind you to get in there and get a decent trade. Because you're all still stuck back here, hiding, cowering, because no space was taken while the smokes are up. And now the smokes have faded, and you're still here, and there's nothing you can do. And again, if you have taken space while those smokes are up, then in a post-plant situation where you've planted default or triple, you can play a post-plant from CT very effectively. All it takes is for you boys to not get kind of stuck in these sorts of standard positions that people find themselves in post-plant. You know, it's often people will post-plant find themselves in sandwich or under balk or in fire or, you know, Tetris, right? But these positions make it a lot easier for the CTs to retake, because all they have to do is come in, worry about one side, right? They're all on your left. So they can throw a molly in there, they can come out and start clearing these angles, they may have flashes, they may have smokes for palace, etc., right? But a situation that I don't see get used enough is this CT play. If you can just work together while the smokes are still up, maybe don't even throw the CT smoke if you don't want to, because it opens you up for the possibility of a good flash in, clear your close angles. You can even flash deeper if you'd like to take, you know, positioning this far. And then you've got, even if you get smoked off, you've got spammable angles, which actually favour you quite a fair bit. If you play these, you know, if you play a decent head glitch on the stairs, for example, for a default plant, you know, you can really, really open up the map if you just take the space while the smokes are up, while the utility is there for you to work off of. While we're on the same point, I want to talk about approaching middle as well. The common thing I see when it comes to not using the utility properly. Let's say you've smoked window, let's say you've smoked connector, which are common ones these days that I'm seeing, right? Work up short together, ideally with some flashes, or if not, just shoot the guy in the face, right? You find yourself in a position where the smokes start to fade, and then you don't know what to do. One of the most common things is people will just sit there, or they'll sit here, and the smokes will fade, and then they'll kind of be in a bit of limbo for the CTs to do whatever they like with you, because you're sort of uncoordinated and stood out in the open now. So a common thing that I like to see people do, and I'd like to see more often, is while these smokes are still up, especially those two, the window and connector, is just getting a guy into ladder. It's really simple for a guy to be left here by himself. You guys regroup for a B play or an A play, depending on how the map's looking at the time. And this guy sits here as a silent lurker and does basically whatever he likes at this stage. He stays quiet, he tries to catch rotations, he's relaying information on the steps he's hearing from B, from window, and he can be really useful. Rather than you and the guys sort of finding your way, stumbling out mid, getting this far, and now, oh, you're getting mollied, you're getting flashed, and you're dead. You've done nothing with the mid play. So yeah, take the space while the smokes are up, guys. That's the takeaway point from this. You know, use that utility effectively in the right locations, and then take the space with your teammates properly, so that you can actually do something with it, and make these more complex rounds. Okay, last point, and this is definitely not my least important point of the three. It's probably the most important point. But remember, you've got 1 minute 55 on the clock at the start of every single round. People in the lower ranks don't use all of the time that they have available to them. They find themselves in 3v3s and they think that they have to rush into bad plays with bad positioning while they're already known about. Like a common situation is, let's say you've done your A smokes, you haven't really made much ground onto the A bomb site, you're still sort of stuck here. I see this all the time, right? Let's say you've got one pick, you've lost a couple of people, you're in a man disadvantage. You're all stuck around ramp, maybe one of you's palace, and you have no direction. Just go back. Just one of you, two of you, go back, work together, use what little utility you have to clear out the space that you have no information on. A common one that I like to do is just regroup. Let's see if we can get a foothold in mid. Let's see if they've pushed up and taken the space away from us, which they may well have done, and just clear it out. At least it gives you a little bit more space to work with. Most importantly, though, it gives the CTs a really big opportunity to make mistakes into your hands. Just give them the chance to mess up. Just play with all the seconds that you have available to you, and, you know, don't give up in a bad situation in a round. Don't feel that you have to force yourself into a play just because things haven't gone to plan in the initial stages. You know, in the 5v5 things didn't go your way. Okay, you're a man down, but you can still use everything available to you to work your way back into the round. That's my number 1 point out of these 3.